There's a lot of speeches going on. There's a lot of soliloquies, okay? It's giving me Hamlet. It's giving me Shakespeare, if you will. When one person has a speech, the other person is completely silent. Marie got one more last thing to say. She got one more speech, y'all. We ain't going home yet. We ain't going home yet. It's a gas mask, man. The toxicity is off the chart. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Joy Lamont, and here on my channel I talk about whatever I want to talk about whenever I want to talk about it. And today we're going to talk about the 2021 fiasco, Malcolm and Marie. Malcolm and Marie is a 2021 Netflix movie released on February 5th. The movie is directed by Sam Levinson and stars Zendaya and John David Washington. Okay, so I just want to make it clear that it took me 3 days to watch this film, okay? I just literally had to keep stopping. I could not sit there and continue to watch the movie in its entirety in one sitting. I just couldn't. My stomach was in knots. Like, my heart was pounding. I mean, I just couldn't do it. Okay, so the movie opens with a shot of a house, and there's a ton of credits, like flashing on the screen, rolling across the screen, or whatever. It feels like the end, to be honest. Throws you off a little bit. But then we see a car pulling up. Okay, it's nighttime, so we see the headlights coming, and then a couple, which is Malcolm and Marie, are walking into this house. Marie immediately goes to the bathroom. I don't know what she doing. We gonna say she was doing number 1, but it could have easily been a number 2. And meanwhile, Malcolm turns on James Brown's song Down and Out in New York City, which I love James Brown, like, for real. He is one of my favorites. But this song, it was very loud. It was a lot of noise. Malcolm is dancing, like, really silly, like singing really loudly, and I guess like celebrating. He's really happy, okay? But then we have Maria, like, what an attitude. He screams something to her across the house. He's like, babe, you know, you look so beautiful tonight. And she's literally sitting on the toilet taking a dump or whatever, saying, I can't hear you. It's like, the vibes are like completely like opposite between the two characters at this point. Zendaya comes out the bathroom and goes in the kitchen, gets a pot. I'm like, wait, what we doing? We making some ramen or something? But it turned out she was making macaroni and cheese, which is just as random and arbitrary as ramen. That's when Malcolm starts on his rant. Like, he's babbling, okay? While he's babbling, Zendaya, she's already got the macaroni going on the stove. She grabs a cigarette, starts smoking, and he's talking and jibber jabbering. The first time I watched it, when I say I was so lost and I could not process, my brain could not process what he was saying. I just couldn't. When I went back and watched it a second time, then I put the pieces together. Like, he basically was talking about how the night went. They just came back from his movie screening, and he's talking about what he believes the press is gonna say about the movie. He's basically like, I don't know, to me it's low-key an anxiety attack. What stuck out to me was the way he spoke about like the people he was talking to at the premiere. When he would talk about a reporter or a journalist, he would call them the white lady from LA Times, the white girl from this newspaper. And then he was saying things like, I could tell by the way she was talking to me, she kept trying to make it about race. People keep making things about race just because I'm black. Everything doesn't have to be about race. And I was just like, okay, unless you're a Republican, a black Republican, do we talk like that? Like, let me know in the comments if you are a non-Republican and you say people always want to make things about race. White people say that. But it's minute 7 and my head is spinning at this point because I'm just confused. Malcolm is still ranting. He's using the F word a lot. You'll see through this movie, they use the F word a lot, more so than the average human being, and it makes me uncomfortable. And so Malcolm's just like all excited. He goes up to Marie and he's like, you know, baby, you look so beautiful tonight. He starts kissing her like on her lady parts. It was like, good gracious, okay. what, in the kitchen? But like Marie is unfazed completely. Like she's like making the macaroni. She ain't studying him. So he notices her vibe is off and he's like, yo, you know, what's wrong with you? And she's just like, oh, you know, you don't want to get into this with me right now. And he's like, what do you mean? You know, this is a celebratory night. And she's like, if you say so, you know, I don't know, not to me. And so they go back and forth about whether or not to even get into the conversation. And Marie says something that's really interesting. She says, let's not talk about this right now because nothing productive will be said tonight. And I was just like, Lord, if that wasn't foreshadowing, I don't know what is. Because not a thing productive was said in this whole hour and 40 minutes. Trust me, okay? Kind of started to get into a little argument. Things are heating up. Marie walks away. She walks out the room. Malcolm gets his bowl of macaroni and he's going in. And I mean, this part makes me feel weird. He's literally hunched over his bowl, like shoveling food into his mouth. Around this time in the movie, I'm like, are these two people on drugs? And that was an honest question. I'm like, maybe I'm on drugs because I'm not understanding what's going on right now. The whole foundation and basis of this movie is their dialogue. They are telling the story of their relationship and they're telling their own individual stories through the dialogue that happens in these arguments. So you really have to listen in order to know what's going on, but at times they're talking so quickly that it's hard to really like keep up with what they're saying. But through the back and forthness, we start to learn that Marie is upset because Malcolm, the main character of the movie that he wrote, is based on Marie's life. Marie is a recovering addict and he created a character that is also a recovering addict. And Marie is upset because she feels like he didn't credit her at all throughout the creative process. And more specifically, he did not thank her in his speech when he got up to give his speech at the premiere. So she's angry about this. But then we see that she's also angry about more than just this. She starts to delve into more serious aspects and things about their relationship that she doesn't like. For some reason, they make up right here and they begin kissing, and it's kind of like, okay, I guess everything's cool now. They're laying on the couch and Marie is just like, she does this long speech where she's laughing and she's like saying, you know, in your next movie, it's gonna be this and it's gonna be this and you're gonna be this. And Malcolm is just eating it up. You would have thought this was comic view, honey, the way he laughed. And I'm like, she ain't saying nothing funny. Like, at one point, Zendaya does this, like, she's mocking, like, I guess a redneck. And she does this, like, accent. And it's weird, I don't like it, but Malcolm thought it was funny. Like I said about Malcolm earlier, they keep bringing up like the race of the individuals that they're talking about. And they keep talking about topics that touch on race, like a lot. Like they keep saying the white lady, the white girl, it's because I'm black. It's not because I'm black. Surface level understanding of race and race relations and race politics. I was just like, child, Sam, why? Right around at this point of the movie is when Marie, what is her name, decides to just randomly disappear. Like she blinks away into the night. While Malcolm is busy listening to music and drinking again, Marie leaves. And so he notices that she's gone. He's frantically trying to look for her, calling her name, walking around the house. He goes outside to look for her, walks right past her, doesn't realize it's nighttime, like, and she's hiding behind a tree. That part really pissed me off. She left the house, walked behind a tree, heard him calling her name, didn't answer, let him walk right past her, and then when he walked right past her, she ran back to the house. How old is this girl supposed to be? Because she acting like she about a good 13 and a half, honestly. He goes back to the house, he finds her there. He's like, where did you go? And she's like, oh, you know, I had to go pee, so I decided to go outside and pee. And he's like, what? Get me out of here. Like, this movie aggravated at this point. So now they're yelling, throwing F-bombs. This feels like high school drama class. Now Marie brings up a new topic. She starts talking about how Malcolm kind of took advantage of her because she was young and because she was an addict. And I'm just like, this might all be true, but why are we talking about this right now? Why are we talking about this right now? One thing I actually start to notice around this part is like, there's a lot of speeches going on. There's a lot of soliloquies, okay? It's giving me Hamlet. It's giving me Shakespeare, if you will. When one person has a speech, the other person is completely silent and just stands there and watches and talk. Now, this is not how arguments work. I don't know, Sam Levinson. I don't know what kind of arguments you get into, sir, but when a man starts yelling at me, I give him a good 20-second head start before I cut that man off. I'm not gonna sit there and listen to that mess. This is not how people argue. This is not realistic. Marie goes into the bathroom right now. They both still had a dress clothes on, child, the whole time. Marie got that on Golden Globe gown or whatever. It's like, girl. So she finally takes it off and gets in the bathtub, takes her makeup off. Malcolm goes outside, punching at the air. I want this movie to be over. He comes back into the house, sits next to her, and starts to tell her, just so you know, yes, the movie was based on you loosely, but it's not just based on you. It's based on other girls I've met. I'm thinking, like, is this supposed to make you sound better? He has a way of talking to her so condescendingly that she starts to believe whatever he says. He can say to her,
Marie, the size purple, Marie. What's wrong with you? Crazy dog.
and then she would just be like, oh yeah, you're right, it's purple. Like, that relationship is toxic. Toxic. Put your gas mask on, but with some toxicity in this room. He says he loves her, and then he walks out. Malcolm puts on more jazz music, which, by the way, jazz music is playing throughout this whole movie. The black and whiteness and the jazz, I guess, is supposed to make this movie feel deep, but it makes me just more annoyed with everything going on. I'm not gonna lie. So Malcolm goes outside and he's smoking. Marie goes out there, takes a cigarette from him, starts to smoke too. She's trying to make up with him basically, but he's still a little bit aggravated, so he don't really make up with her yet. He walks back inside the house, okay? Then as soon as he walks in the house, oh, we start hearing more F words. And Marie's like, what's going on with him? She runs in the house like, Malcolm, you good? Of course he doesn't really respond. They don't really respond to what the other people say, like, ever. But he pretty much says, oh, you know, somebody already put a review of, oh my goodness, like, and then she's like, oh, okay. She's like, what does it say? And he's like, I can't see it. It's behind a paywall. This effing paywall, paywall. And then we get this like weird, corny, like almost slapstick comedy section where Malcolm's trying to see the article, but it's behind a paywall, so he has to get a subscription. So he needs his wallet, but he can't find his wallet. Then he finally finds his wallet. While he's looking for his wallet, he's misplaced his phone. And it's just like, okay, if I wanted to see the Three Stooges, I would have turned that on. So Malcolm reads the article, and what did I say? There are more white, black racial references, which all feel corny. Malcolm is mad because he feels like the person who wrote it is being harder on him because he's black. He's ranting again, and the only thing I'm thinking is, can he please change his clothes? Y'all, I'm so funny. He reads the article, yeah, and he starts ranting and raving about this white woman and what, you know, black people. It's too much. All of the white, it's just aggravating me. It's so lame. It's so lame. Please stop. Marie thinks he's hilarious. They kind of start to make up and they kind of start to kiss. And you know, it kind of starts to feel like, okay, there's about to be a sex scene because they're kissing and things are getting serious. And Malcolm goes to the bathroom to freshen up. By the time he comes back, sorry, Marie's sad again. Marie's got a speech again. Hope you're ready. And she says, Malcolm, I want you to answer this for me. Why didn't you cast me as the lead in your movie? Which I feel like is a valid question. Through all of this back and forth nonsense, we have learned that Marie is an actress. Why would he not cast her for the movie that he already admitted is based on her life? He doesn't directly answer the question. He just gets mad, of course, and starts yelling and being condescending and calling her crazy, which, by the way, he calls her crazy a lot in this movie. Child, call me crazy more than one time. I will show you crazy. Now we have another speech. Malcolm's talking about authenticity and what it means and how important it is, and the speeches. I just want to be free from the speeches. They go their separate ways. They're mad at each other again. Marie goes to the kitchen, grabs a knife, and does this little crazy girl scene. Now this right here, I was like, oh, okay, all right. Okay, something finna happen. Nothing happened. She was acting like a crazy person to show him that she's a good actress. A normal man would have said, woman, don't do that. You don't pick up a knife and threaten me for the sake of making a point. But Malcolm's not a normal man. Malcolm is Malcolm. And so he laughs and says, girl, you turned me on with that. Get the gas mask, man. The toxicity is off the chart. I said, this relationship is giving me hives. I want out. Please set me free. Okay, now the movie honestly is finally over. Like, that's it, y'all. The movie over. Like, they start kissing. We think, okay, they might be having sex, but Marie got one more last thing to say. She got one more speech, y'all. We ain't going home yet. We ain't going home yet. Malcolm, you know, you this. Be grateful for me. I've been there for you. You better start thanking me in your speeches. When you thank everybody, you better thank me. You better start telling me you love me. Malcolm he's, you know, no comeback, no speech. He was just like, all right. Then they both get ready for bed, brushing teeth, washing armpits, changing drawers, and They get into the bed while the sound of jazz music plays in the background. Oh, Sam. Next morning, Malcolm wakes up. He sees that Marie's not there. She's not in bed, okay? Now, if this was a normal movie with a plot, with organization, with a goal, Marie would have been dead. Marie would have been dead, or at least would have ran away. Left a note saying, I'm out of here because this relationship is hurting my mental health. No, that's not what happens. Marie's just standing outside with a robe on. Malcolm goes outside and joins her, and they stare into outer space together. And the movie goes off. Now you tell me why I needed to watch that. Let's just go over like all of my overall thoughts of this movie, okay? It wasn't good. You can sit here and try to find creative ways to say that, but the bottom line is it was not a good film. It was not a good piece of work. I don't understand what the aim was here. Like, trust me, if I was not planning on doing this video, I would not have watched the movie past minute 8. Absolutely not. As I was watching it, I was like, you know, this is giving me Death of a Salesman meets Fences meets thrift store poetry book meets Twitter think piece. It was like an amalgamation of a lot of different things, but yet it was not actually anything, if that makes sense. Like, you throwing a bunch of ingredients in a bowl does not mean that you're going to make anything edible. And that's how I felt about this movie. Malcolm was verbally abusive to Marie, and I don't know why that needed to be put in there. Like, he kept calling her crazy and synonyms to crazy. He did that multiple times. I really didn't like that. She didn't even bring that up, and she should have, because anyone, if you watch my channel enough, you will see there's a common thread. I don't play around men and any type of signs of abuse. Like, absolutely not, honey, no. I saw a lot of people referencing the fact that the director, Sam Levinson, is white, and he also was like one of the screenwriters, I believe, as well. And people really felt uncomfortable with the fact that some of the things that were said in the movie were written and thought of by a white man. And I actually agree with that. I think that, like, there was a lot of race references in this movie, and I kind of felt like, why? Do you know what I mean? Is this his interpretation of blackness? Is this his interpretation of what goes on in the head of a black man and a biracial woman? Do you know black people? I mean, obviously he knows black people who he works with, but do you actually talk to black people in real life? I kind of wasn't getting that vibe that he ever actually has spent any time with black people, because we don't care about race topics nearly as much as white people think we do. Like, we care, but we're not gonna talk about it not nearly as much as Malcolm and Marie were talking about it, like in their house at 1 in the morning. No, we don't do that, bro. We got other things going on. Zendaya's character was better than Malcolm, but Marie was not a good character, really. Like, her emotions were all over the place. She went from being like really mad to sad to happy to horny to mad again. It was a lot. I mean, she left the house twice. Even though her emotions were everywhere, like the way she spoke to him, and like she spoke to him very like level-headed. Like, when she spoke to him, when she was giving her speeches, she spoke like someone who had a bit of a command over herself, and like the way that they talked about her as an addict didn't really seem to match up with the person that she was in the movie. And I don't know if that makes sense, but if you watch the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. I will say though that I like the concept of this movie, Malcolm and Marie, and we don't get to see that enough. We don't get to see the ups and the downs and what it means to be black and in love. And so I was excited to see it. I appreciate the thought behind the concept, but the way it was actually carried out was very messy. I also really want to give like a shout out to the people in charge of the cinematography. And Zendaya in the bathtub was those shots where we closed in on her face. The shot where they were both outside smoking next to each other. The symmetry, I love the way that they did that a lot. They put them next to each other. Very symmetrical shot in the movie. I thought they were great. The black and white filter over the movie, we really could have just done without it. It didn't add to the movie at all. All in all, Malcolm and Marie, it's an experience, I'll say that. But I mean, it just felt completely flat for me. It made me uncomfortable, raised my anxiety level. Do you agree with me? Put it in the comments if you do. Thanks for watching this video, and that's all I have for you. So I will see you on my next one. Bye.